they had three major policies that were going to be followed. First, Lucifer says, we have to make sure that people, humans, get to believe that Satan and his angels do not really exist.
You know, Roger, that's interesting because a recent research study report that I read indicated that in a national survey, I believe it's over 75% of people do not really believe in a real tangible devil. But there is one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the next thing, the three-parts policy that they had adopted there, the second one was to find a way of being able to get total control of people's minds. And that would be done by taking hypnotism out of the realm of the occult and introduce it as a new science for the benefit of mankind. They felt that by taking hypnotism out of the realm of the occult and introducing it as a new science for the benefit of mankind, they could then use people of great renown, educators, people of capacity, that would do great things, such as supposedly regress people in time to former lives. And of course, after the session is over, the person would not know a thing about ancient history. And the person she or he has talked about performing, you know, certain deeds, let's say 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. But this was their strategy. Now, what this would do for the thing is this, that it would create in the minds of the general public, solidly set in the mind of the general public, an unwavering trust in that great deception. So now this would be a way of de-Christianizing the Western world through the avenue of mysticism.
The three things were, number one, that they did not want Satan did not want the human family to think that he or his angels existed.
Right.
The second point that you made had to do with taking control of people's minds.
That's right.
The third point was what?
Was to destroy the Bible without burning it.
Okay.
See?
And what was his strategy on that?
On that, it was very interesting. Because after the Great General Council, it was decided that Satan would tutor Charles Darwin personally in setting up the principles of his theories of evolution. He was tutored by Lucifer himself, fallen Lucifer. And at that time, it was understood, Satan and his spirit counselors understood, that if a person was led to believe in the theory of evolution, it would, in his life, destroy completely the creation week of the Bible, the fall of man, and the plan of redemption. It would do away with it. Anyone that teaches a theory of evolution is considered to be a minister of a great religious system. And he said that every teacher of that theory is recognized by the spirits as a person of great value and receives a very special unction from Satan himself, giving great power to induce spiritual blindness, to convince and convert. Three capacities. Harvesting the nations, for harvesting the multitudes of the earth to his cause just before the close of the great controversy between the forces of good and evil. It's going to be done in a unique manner. This grand plan is going to take people are going to eat the stuff, because it says spirits, demon spirits, will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxies that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet unless something seriously proper is done to avoid it.
Think about Aladdin and his lamp. You've probably heard of that one. The genie always says one thing.
Your wish is my command.
You know, the universe is this great genie, and your conscious mind is Aladdin. It formulates the intention of what you choose for your life.
At the very heart and core of all these secret societies lurks the Kabbalah. It is a method of encoding information through a system of mathematics and numbers. These people that belong to the secret societies never dared to write down in any language what they knew, what it was that they were guarding, because then someone could steal it and then the secret would be out. So they took this knowledge and they made it occult through a system of encoding, encryption, one of which is mathematics, numbers. Another is architecture. Everybody wonder, why do they have a fraternal organization called the Freemasons? Aren't those the guys that build walls? You bet they do. But every wall they build contains the secrets that have been kept and maintained throughout the ages, and it's encoded in the architecture and in the measurements of the buildings and in the mathematical formulas used to derive the geometry, the shape, the length and breadth and height of rooms. It's all encoded there.
Is science compatible with spirituality? Can you have spirituality without any religion? Can there be a purpose for the universe? A purpose for your life? The answer to all these questions is yes. A discovery has emerged in astrophysics over the past 2 decades that the universe has a number of properties that are just right for life to evolve. The strength of the gravitational force, the strength of the nuclear force that powers the sun, the amount of dark matter and dark energy. These and several other key properties could have been vastly different than they are. Instead, they are amazingly just right to be conducive to life.
Sinking like stones, all that we fall for. Homes, places we've grown, all of us are done for. And we live in a beautiful world. Yeah, we do, we live in a beautiful world. Sinking like stones, all that we fall for. Homes, places we've grown, all of us are done for. And we live in a beautiful world. Yeah, we do, we live in a beautiful world. All that I know, there's nothing here to run from. 'Cause yeah, everybody here's got somebody to lean on.
So now we're on a spiritual side of the journey, watching the sunset and the beautiful mountain.
What do you think of Lebanon so far?
And I think it's awesome. I think
This was the cave that Jesus hid in for a while, and his friends and disciples used to bring him food. He chose to be here because it's an isolated area in South Lebanon, and he fled from Palestine.
have seen pain resting on the shoulders of your name. Do you see the truth through all their lies? Do you see the world through troubled eyes? And if you want to talk about it anymore, lie here on the floor, cry on my shoulder. I'm a friend I have seen, but I have seen death. Live to see a lover's final breath. Do you see my guilt that feels right is the fire of hesitation burning bright. And if you want to talk about it once again, on you I depend. I'll cry on your shoulder. You're a friend. You and I have lived through many things. I hold on to your heart. I wouldn't cry for anything, but don't go tearing your life apart. I have seen fear, I have seen faith, seen the look of anger on your face. And if you want to talk about what will be, come and sit with me and cry on my shoulder. I'm a friend. And if you want to talk about it anymore, lie here on the floor, cry.
Didn't reappear for more than 1,000 years, when knights from the First Crusade discovered secret vaults beneath the Temple of Solomon. You see, the knights who found the vaults believed that the treasure was too great for any one man, not even a king. They brought the treasure back to Europe and took the name, the Knights Templar. Over the next century, they smuggled it out of Europe. They formed a new brotherhood called the Freemasons in honor of the builders of the Great Temple. Now look here, Dad. The Freemasons among our founding fathers left us clues like these. The unfinished pyramid, the all-seeing eye, symbols of the Knights Temple, guardians of the treasure. They're speaking to us through these. A treasure beyond all imagining.
Millennia, Jerusalem's Temple Mount has been at the forefront of the battle of the great monotheistic religions, and once again today, passions are threatening to spill over into bloodshed.
I want the whole world to hear me. Al-Aqsa is in danger. Al-Aqsa is in danger. As God is my witness, I tell you, someone is conspiring to destroy Al-Aqsa.
Yesterday evening, the police, Jerusalem District Department assessed the situation. We're continuing our police measures in order to maintain the situation.
At the beginning of February 2007, the Israel Antiquities Authority began excavating just outside the Temple Mount compound near Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Western Wall. The authority says this work was in preparation for the erection of a permanent ramp leading to one of the Temple Mount gates.
All the work conducted here is absolutely outside the limits of the Temple Mount. We're standing about 50 meters from the wall. Nothing will be conducted within the area of the wall.
The Muslim community in the Palestinian areas and Israel was enraged. It's the third incident in a month involving archaeological digging close to Al-Aqsa Mosque, and Muslim leaders claim more covert operations are taking place.
There are tunnels dug from more than one direction. One of them goes from the Silwan neighborhood toward the sacred Al-Aqsa Mosque. They destroy the mosque gradually. By this act, they call for a wide religious war in the region.
Israel strongly denies any digging in the Temple Mount compound and beneath Al-Aqsa Mosque. Highly respected rabbis join in denials of excavations, pointing out the site is the holiest in Judaism, with many saying that Jews are forbidden from entering because of its holiness.
Today, till Messiah will come, and we will be pure enough climb up the mountain. You cannot pray there, not because it's not ours, because it's the dearest and the holiest place.
Meanwhile, leaders of Hamas and Fatah convened in Saudi Arabia to resolve their disputes. The recent turmoil near Al-Aqsa seemed to unite the two sides against Israel.
The Rothschilds, whose friend companies had helped finance Hitler and the Jewish slave labor camps, had turned Jewish Holocaust victims into victimizers. Imprisoned inside barbed wire refugee camps, the Palestinians began to resemble the victims of Nazi concentration camps. According to author Simon Schama, the Rothschilds owned 80% of the land of Israel. Even the flag of Israel flies the hexagram symbol from the Rothschild family's red shield. The hexagram has 6 points, 6 triangles, and 6 sides on the central hexagram.
This is Horus. He is the sun god of Egypt of around 3000 BC. He is the sun anthropomorphized, and his life is a series of allegorical myths involving the sun's movement in the sky. Broadly speaking, the story of Horus is as follows. Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east, which, in turn, 3 kings followed to locate and adorn the newborn Savior. At the age of 12, he was a prodigal child teacher, and at the age of 30, he was baptized by a figure known as Anub, and thus began his ministry. Horus had 12 disciples he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick and walking on water. Horus was known by many gestural names such as the Truth, the Light, God's Anointed Son, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and many others. After being betrayed by Typhon, Horus was crucified, buried for 3 days, and thus resurrected. Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary on December 25th in Bethlehem. His birth was announced by a star in the east, which 3 kings or magi followed to locate and adorn the new Savior. He was a child teacher at 12. At the age of 30, he was baptized by John the Baptist, and thus began his ministry. Jesus had 12 disciples, which he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick, walking on water, raising the dead. He was also known as the King of Kings, the Son of God, the Light of the World, the Alpha and Omega, the Lamb of God, and many, many others. After being betrayed by his disciple Judas and sold for 30 pieces of silver, he was crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected and ascended into heaven. First of all, the birth sequence is completely astrological. The star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which, on December 24th, aligns with the 3 brightest stars in Orion's belt. These 3 bright stars in Orion's belt are called today what they were called in ancient times the 3 kings. And the 3 kings and the brightest star, Sirius, all point to the place of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the 3 kings follow the star in the east, in order to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun.
to completely strip the world from religious beliefs. This is the project, and that is why it is called Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new secular or worldly order. To completely strip the world from religious beliefs. This is the project, and that is why it is called Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new secular or worldly order.
The spirits at that time are going to put all their effort to impress religious leaders, to bring before the masses of the earth the sacredness of Sunday. See? They will teach Sunday sacredness. Then laws will be passed by governments. One person asked, what's going to happen about people that don't believe in the Spirit's recommendation? The priest says, that's no problem at all. Laws will be passed by governments that will force people to go along with it, regardless of whether they believe in it or not. All these great nations and other nations, or smaller ones, were all involved in sun worship. And he said, it is going again to take place. but not in worshiping the sun, in remembering Sunday to keep it holy. He made a statement I will never forget. He says, by the observance of the day upon which the master, Satan, has placed the unction of his authority and power, he receives homage, regardless of whom people claim to worship.
it was possible for me from an early age to enter what is the world of the elite and what we know as the Illuminati. That mainly they work for a pyramid of power that ends up in Jerusalem and Rome, and that represents both the Vatican and the Chinese Catholic, together united to perform what they would like to be the New World Order.
Sir, when the muezzin goes up in the minaret twice a day, he cries to the world, there is but one God, and he is Allah. Do you deny that there is a Christian God?
The muezzin does this 5 times a day.
5 times, and I only heard him twice.
Well, you were fortunate to hear him twice. But he does this 5 times a day, and the same God that he says that he expresses the existence of is the God that the Christians profess to believe in themselves, and the God that the Jews believe in. One God, the creator of the universe. The Muslims believe in the God that created the universe, and I think the Christians do, and the Jews do. Now, as long as all of them are talking about the creator, the Jews may call him Jehovah, and Christians may have another name for him. Those who are Arabic speaking refer to him as Allah. Well, we believe in the same God.
Bowed yourselves before your prophet?
Muhammad is a man. We kneel only to God.
Why did your prophet send you to me?
Because you believe in the book of the one God as we do. He sent us because in your heart God will protect us.
Go on.
I speak of the messenger of God. Muhammad teaches us to worship one God, to speak truth, to love our neighbors as ourselves, to give charity. Even a smile can be charity. To protect women from misuse, to shelter orphans, and to turn away from gods of wood and stone.
I cannot keep still and hear this blasphemy. We are an ancient civilization. To call our gods wood and stone is to speak ignorantly of them. The idol, the form, is not what we worship, but the spirit that resides within the form. Now let me bring him back to the women.
God made woman to be the proper companion of man. She is different, but equal.
Equal! We buy them, feed them, clothe them, use them, discard them. Women equal to us?
God created man from one male and one female. Now, you must respect in all women the womb that bore you.
Why are your 300 gods so tongue-tied, while his only God is eloquent?
God has spoken to us before, through Abraham, Noah, Moses, and through Jesus Christ.
Who taught you those names?
They are named in the Quran.
I knew Muhammad when he was an orphan minding sheep.
And we knew Christ as a carpenter. What Christ says, and what your Muhammad says, is like 2 rays from the same lamp.
They are lying to you. They deny Christ. You worship 3 gods, they say. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, they say.
What do you say of Christ?
They say God cannot have a son. Christ is not the Son of God.
Speak to me of Christ.
We say of Christ what our prophet has taught us. That God cast his Holy Spirit into the womb of a virgin named Mary, and that she conceived Christ, the apostle of God.
The apostle, he says, not the son, not the son.
What is your miracle? Your Quran. Say of the birth of our dear Lord Jesus Christ.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Relate in the book the story of Mary. How she withdrew from her family to a place in the east. How we sent to her our angel Gabriel, who said, I am a messenger from your God, to announce the birth of a holy son to you. She said, how shall I, Mary, have a son when no man has touched me? And Gabriel replied, For your Lord says, it will happen. We appoint him as a sign unto man, and a mercy from us.
The difference between us and you is no thicker than this life. Not for a mountain of gold will I give them up to you.
You may be shocked by these words, but I have eaten from the same plate, drunk from the same glass, and prayed to the same God with fellow Muslims whose eyes were blue, whose hair was blonde, and whose skin was the whitest of white. And we were all brothers, truly. People of all colors and races believing in one God and one humanity. Each hour here in this sacred land enables me to have a greater spiritual insight into what is happening in America. The American Negro can never be blamed for his racial animosity. He's only reacting to 400 years of oppression and discrimination. But as racism leads America up the suicidal path, I do believe that the younger generation will see the handwriting on the wall, and many of them will want to turn to the spiritual path of the truth. The only way left in this world to ward off the disaster that racism must surely lead to. In all honesty and sincerity, it can be stated that I wish nothing but freedom, justice, and equality. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all people. Now, my first concern, of course, is with the group to which I belong. For we, more than any others, are deprived of our inalienable rights. But I believe the true practice of Islam can remove the cancer of racism from the hearts and the souls of all Americans. And if I can die having brought any light, having exposed any meaningful truth that will help destroy this disease, then all the credit is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. And only the mistakes have been mine.
Assalamu alaikum. Get your hand out of my pocket! Get your hand out of my pocket!
any means necessary.
ثم قيل له يا رسول الله أوصنا، فكان مما أوصى به قوله استوصوا بالنساء خيرا. واستوصوا بآل بيتي خيرا ليحيينا بذلك حياة تتصل بحضرته. لما قال أهل بيتي نسبها إلى حضرته؟ ليعلمنا أن انتقاله من الدنيا لا يعني انقطاع صلتنا بحضرته. استوصوا بآل بيتي أي أن معاني صلتكم بي تبقى ما بقي آل بيتي بين ظهرانيكم. بآل بيتي أي أن معاني صلتكم بي تبقى ما بقي آل بيتي بين ظهرانيكم.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns.
How did your men lose him? How can someone bring so much disruption to our cause? We have tried to stop him, but many lives have been claimed by his steel. He fights like no man. People say he moves like an angel of death, carrying fury on his wings. Nonsense. These are just stories. Such myths do not exist.
This man is costing us a fortune to contain.
We have to stop him, or everything we work for will be destroyed.
How do we restrain this angel of yours? Raise an army against one man?
Nine! There is nothing we can do without calling for reinforcements.
Enough! So he seeks to stop us, to claim our treasure for himself. Pure madness.
Let him die. Every angel can forward. The truth when it looks at you hard.
I would like to start by saying that I came to stand right next to you to make you cut the intro short. Because I wanted to speak from my heart and not through any particular position that this temporary world may have given me. I would like to read a verse from the Quran in personal pursuit of inspiration for what it is I would like to say in the following maybe 2 or 3 minutes. If you allow me to, those who believe in the Quran are going to listen to it, seeing what Allah, the Creator, is saying to them. But those who don't be offended, I'm not patronizing you. Just listen to it in whatever way, shape or form you would like to listen to it in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. A quick translation of this would, and allow me to say crude because it's very difficult to try and interpret what we believe is ultimate truth in another language, is, O people, O humanity, O mankind, we, and this is the royal we of power, it's not plurality, we, God, we have created you from a pair, from a male and a female, and we have made you into peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. That you may know one another. I think that I would like to leave it off saying that to me, in this context, Allah, God, is, if I'm allowed to say, synonymous in this context with truth, beauty, and justice, and the sovereign good. And I think that everybody here, in one way or the other, and I've met pretty much everyone here, I think that everybody here believes that there is something true. You wouldn't be here if you believed that nothing can be true, and that there is something beautiful, one way or the other, again, and that there is something good, because everybody here has good in them, and that there is justice. But the only difference between us is how we define, respectively, justice, truth, beauty, and good. So let me just tell you that, wallahi, by Allah, I swear to you, it's all semantics. And if we sit down enough and talk, we will understand one another. Shaykh al-Buti, may Allah bless him, said that perhaps a harmful thing can bring out benefit. I think there's a lot of benefit that has come out of this, and I'm very happy to live in this world, in this time, to experience this amazing human possibility of ta'aruf, of knowing one another and recognizing the common ground between us. We all have a common denominator. Our numerator is different, that's all, if I can use a mathematical example.
Incest was practiced by ancient Egyptian royalty. Mothers married sons and brothers married sisters to keep the power and the money all in the family. Like their pharaonic ancestors, the British monarchy have a long history of incestuous inbreeding.
Feet away from the presidency is actually a blood relation. He's President Bush's 9th cousin once removed. Cheney's cousin Barack Obama is also Bush's 11th cousin. President Lincoln was President Bush's 7th cousin 5 times removed. And Bush shared more than just a ballot with John Kerry. That's right, they're 9th cousins twice removed. Trace the family tree far enough, and you get Madonna, Celine Dion, and Tom Hanks.
Christine, you've heard the adage politics makes strange bedfellows. Apparently politics also makes for strange relations. Thanks to the New England Historic Genealogical Society, we now know the presidential candidates are related to a host of famous and historic figures.
In this primary campaign.
I opposed this war in 2002.
But do you know their relatives? Obama is distantly related to 6 presidents: George W. and George H.W. Bush, Gerald Ford, Lyndon Johnson, Harry S. Truman, and James Madison. Obama's family tree also includes Sir Winston Churchill and Civil War General Robert E. Lee.
Thank you all. Thank you.
She's also related to beatnik author Jack Kerouac and the wife of Prince Charles of England. John McCain's ancestry was more difficult to trace, but it's known he's the 6th cousin of First Lady Laura Bush.
Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others, and into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life.
You helped our nation celebrate its bicentennial in 1976. She gave me a look that only a mother could give a child. She gave me a look that only a mother could give a child. Only a mother could give a child. Only a mother could give a child. She gave me a look that only a mother could give a child.
What they call themselves, the Illuminati, which comes from the illuminated ones, have come through history. And as people began to reject overt, in-your-face dictatorship, they became the people who ran the system. It's all about genetics to these people. They're like horse breeders. Diana basically called herself the Windsor's brood mare. She was brought into the web merely to be the vehicle to give birth to William. You'll look at the Bushes, people like that, and they look like you and me. The key element is what happens beyond the realm that we can see. This is what the Illuminati bloodlines really are. They are vehicles for other dimensional entities to manipulate this reality. To understand it, you have to research so many different subjects and then fit the strands together before you go, wow, so that's what it's all about. So when you look at the story of Diana, it's not just about what's happening now, what happened in 97. It's also going back again to Babylon, places like that. The goddess Diana was an ancient goddess, which was another name for the Babylonian goddess Queen Semiramis, the goddess of the Illuminati. And one of the groups of people that worshipped Diana, the goddess, and did their rituals to her, were called the Merovingians. The Merovingians are one of the, if not the, key bloodline in the whole Illuminati network. The British royal family are one of the Illuminati bloodlines. It's all about genetics to these people. They're like horse breeders. Diana basically called herself the Windsor's brood mare, as she was brought into the web merely to be the vehicle to give birth to William. Confidant Christian Fitzgerald told me that people who did not support these black occult networks that controlling not just Britain, but increasingly the world. They were feeding her information and warning her that she was in danger. One of the groups of people that worshipped Diana, the goddess, and did their rituals to her were called the Merovingians. The Merovingians are one of the, if not the, key bloodline in the whole Illuminati network.
What can you see, Neil? It's strange. The code is somehow different. Encrypted? Maybe.
Is that good for us or bad for us?
It looks like every floor is marked with explosives.
Bad for us.
Here we go. Yes, we are here to speak with the Merovingian.
Of course. He has been expecting you. Follow me.
Here he is at last. Neo is the one himself, right? And the legendary Morpheus. And Trinity, of course, si belle qu'elle me fait souffrir. I have heard so much of you. Honor me, please sit, join us. This is my wife, Persephone. Something to eat? Drink? Of course, such things are contrivances like so much here, for the sake of appearances.
No, thank you.
Yes, of course. Who has time? Who has time? But then if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time? Trafficker of information. I know everything I can. The question is, do you know why you are here?
We are looking for the keymaker.
Oh yes, it is true. The keymaker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The keymaker himself is very nature, is a means, it is not an end. And so, to look for him is to be looking for a means to do
What?
You know the answer to that question.
But do you? You think you do, but you do not.
These are back doors, aren't they? Programmer access. How do they work?
The code is hidden in tumblers. One position opens a lock. Another position opens one of these doors.
As Ralph Ellis explains, the first-degree tracing board is a representation of Solomon's Temple. Solomon's Temple being modeled after Giza, this is also a representation of the Giza Plateau. The 3 pillars being the 3 greater pyramids of Giza, and the 2 cubes being the plugs or the doors of the pyramid, and I would further speculate a symbol of the double square of the King's Chamber floor plan. Inside every Masonic lodge you are likely to find the 2 pillars of Solomon's Temple and the 5-pointed or blazing star. It seems highly unlikely to my mind that it is a mere coincidence that these are the same elements we see at play in the 9/11 event. My current belief system views what happened on that day as a mega ritual. When the symbolic pillars came down on 9/11, the holiest of holies was revealed. ISIS was unveiled. If we think of the towers as the pillars of Hercules, then what was revealed was the new Atlantis. We find another related and valid symbol system in the Kabbalah. Here the World Trade Center represents the left and the right pillar, the middle pillar being formed by the space in between, and representing, amongst other things, cosmic illumination or higher consciousness. The middle pillar can also be viewed as World Trade Center 7. We then have all 3 of the pillars on the first-degree tracing board, representing Solomon's Temple and in its turn the 3 major pyramids of Giza, evoked during the 9/11 mega ritual, which brings us to my current preferred metaphor for higher consciousness, the Stargate. This corporate sculpture, which used to stand in between the Twin Towers, is called the Spherical Caryatid. It was made by artist Fritz Koenig, and was nicknamed the Sphere. Let's have a quick look at Earth's Consensus library entry about this piece and see what we can learn. We see that Koenig made this thing in Bavaria, the same place where the Illuminati was founded. The most interesting fact about the placement of the sphere at the World Trade Center Plaza has to be that architect and designer of the World Trade Center, Minoru Yamasaki, intended the plaza itself to be a representation of the Grand Mosque of Mecca, the sphere in particular taking the place of the Kaaba. We should also bear in mind in this regard that the Great Pyramid has the ratio of pi encoded mathematically in its design. The benben, the obelisk, the pyramid, the circle, and the sphere are thus all intimately connected. Ralph Ellis further speculates in Eden in Egypt that the processional rituals of the Muslims during the Hajj are directly descended from the rituals involving the circling of the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is why I believe the sphere was set to rotate every 24 hours at the World Trade Center Plaza. It was mimicking the processional rituals at the Kaaba and at the Great Pyramid of Giza.
In the religion of the mystery schools, they believed that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust and vindictive God, and that man was not told by this unjust and vindictive God that he could have the same powers. And man was set free from the bonds of ignorance by Lucifer through his agent Satan, and many believe that the two are the same. That's okay, because maybe they are. And that through the gifts of intellect, man himself will become God.
When the Titanic left, it was declared the unsinkable ship. If you do that, Allah will sink it, just to spite it. You can't do that. When they made the Challenger, now you know what Challenger means in Arabic? Mutahaddi. It's a very bad word. Who are they challenging? They're sending it off into space. Who are you challenging? Challenging who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Well, look what happened. He'll just blow you up. That's what Allah will do, till He just blow you up. And then they say, oh, it's a tragedy. The 7th grade teacher riding on raw technology. They put a 7th grade teacher into raw technology, thinking that they're قادرين عليها حتى ظن أهلها أنهم قادرون عليها. They thought the people, they'll become so deluded, Allah says in Surah Yunus, they will become so deluded that they think they're all powerful over the earth. Right, so they take off on the Challenger. Allah, you want to call it Challenger? We'll see how long the challenge lasts.
So as we start to look into the numerology, what we're looking at is a tree of life. And this is something that the magicians use, and what I believe to be a map of the extra dimension. So as you're looking into this map, there are 10 spots on it, and they are called the Sephiroth. And within these Sephiroth, you have your Trinity at the top. So this is the all, the one, looking at itself and creating a reflection. You go up from the bottom up to the top, you have 10 points. 10 being God, 10 being the hermaphroditic symbol, 1 and 0. So as you come up to 10, that is their God, that is 10, that is the hermaphrodite. But if you stop at 9 and you skip to 11, skipping God, then you are a Luciferian. Because 11 is the number of the magician, it's the one step above. Once you have accomplished the tree of life, you are now the magician, you are one above 10. But they're doing it by skipping God. That's the symbolism of 9/11.
Here we go.
As you come up to 10, that is their God, that is 10, that is the hermaphrodite. But if you stop at 9 and you skip to 11, skipping God, then you are a Luciferian. Because 11 is the number of the magician, it's the one step above. Once you have accomplished the tree of life, you are now the magician, you are one above 10. But they're doing it by skipping God. That's the symbolism of 9/11.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
We were on assignment. We were supposed to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
In Fight Club, Project Mayhem destroys a giant bronze spherical sculpture. This seems an obvious reference to the sphere at the World Trade Center complex.
Trust me. Everything's gonna be fine.
In a pivotal scene reminiscent of 9/11, we see the destruction of skyscrapers and the change of a skyline.
Second anniversary of the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center, George Bush asked for an $87 billion increase in military spending.
In 1904, Crowley would receive the Book of the Law soon after meditating in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. He claimed he had been contacted by a being called Aiwass. Crowley would also use this symbol in his work. Some of its meanings are said to include a reference to the number 77 in Hebrew and a connection to the god Pan. Crowley made this drawing of a non-human intelligence he saw during a ritual. Synchronous 23 has made the connection between Aiwass and the Wizard of Oz, and has further pointed out the similarities between Crowley's grey alien-like drawing and the depiction of the projection of the Wizard of Oz in the film version. The much overlooked theory has been put forward on the internet that when we are looking at George W. Bush, we are actually seeing Aleister Crowley's grandson. I have suggested that this video footage of George W. Bush reading The Pet Goat, coinciding with the start of the 9/11 mega ritual, is in fact a dedication of the 9/11 mega ritual to the great god Pan by Aleister Crowley's grandson. Things get a little weird. This is the 1978 version of The Wizard of Oz, The Wiz. Again, we see the Emerald City connected to New York. On arriving at the end of the Yellow Brick Road, Dorothy and her companions go through the circular portal. Through the door, we see 3 pyramids. Behind the pyramid shape, in between the pyramid pillars of the World Trade Center, we see the sphere, the representation of the Kaaba. The inhabitants of Oz dance around the sphere in ritualistic fashion. Fashioned in giant letters over the dome of the sphere, we see the word Oz. Oz, symbols of Pan and Aiwass, seen smack at the heart, where the new Aeon was ushered in, and where the Stargate was opened. The Twin Towers is called the spherical caryatid. It was made by artist Fritz Koenig and was nicknamed the Sphere. We see that Koenig made this thing in Bavaria, the same place where the Illuminati was founded. The most interesting fact about the placement of the sphere at the World Trade Center Plaza has to be that architect and designer of the World Trade Center, Minoru Yamasaki, intended the plaza itself to be a representation of the Grand Mosque of Mecca, the sphere in particular taking the place of the Kaaba.
friends, it's time you start placing your faith and your dedication to the one and only God, the everlasting creator of everything on earth and in the universe. He is greater than anything our minds can comprehend. Do you know how many times Muslims are required to circle the Kaaba and visit it? 7 times, each counterclockwise. Would you like to know why? You see, what binds us as humans to this life and to this dimension and to this earth is the limits of time and space. We are bound to this dimension and this reality through time and space. Hence, if one wants to leave this dimension or leave this reality, he needs to break away from time and space. So when you visit the Kaaba and you rotate counterclockwise, what is this practice actually doing? It is literally helping you elevate your soul and elevating yourself to break away from time and space so you can touch something so unique and so beautiful and so powerful that it changes your life forever. And if you don't believe me, ask anyone who has visited the Kaaba how he or she felt or how their lives have changed ever since. Now when it comes to the Kaaba, the main point that we try to communicate is the following. In Islam or in the Quran, God teaches that if all mankind and if all the jinn combine to sin and move away from God, then God doesn't lose one atom's worth of his kingdom. And if mankind and jinn combined to dedicate every second of their life to prayer and to worship of the one God, then God's kingdom doesn't gain one atom's worth as well. What does this philosophy teach you? It teaches you that God is not in need of you, or your practices, or your worships, or your prayers. You are in need of these practices and these worships. You are in need of God and not the other way around. If you can understand that philosophy, then you can appreciate prayers and what they are meant to do, which is basically enlighten you. So when dealing, for example, with the Kaaba, Muslims are required to go and perform Hajj one time in their life, and it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Growing up, most Muslims accept this, and most of them do it without questioning, and this is the essence of belief, and this is great. But at the same time, this doesn't mean that if you question or research, you're going to come back with negative or bad answers. The opposite is actually true. So when we started researching into the esoteric agendas and we started researching the elite, we found out how much certain type of practices and rituals can affect your lives. So when we went and placed this on Islam, we developed an even deeper respect for this religion and a far deeper respect for God and the creator of us. So when you go to the Kaaba and you circle around it 7 times, the essence of this worship is not that you are worshipping a stone, or that you are worshipping a house, or that you are worshipping a Kaaba. The Kaaba is merely the focal point or the centerpiece that all Muslims have to unite and focus their energy and prayers towards in a practice that is actually worshipping God. Now, going in circles counterclockwise does not break you away from time and space. But the fact that the energy of the Kaaba is the strongest energy on earth, and it flows counterclockwise, by you flowing in correlation with this energy, you are uplifting yourself. You are reaching spiritual levels that you rarely do experience anywhere else on earth. And the fact that you got to do it 7 times, and we are taught that there are 7 skies, or 7 samawat, or 7 spiritual planes, then one can discover that each circle breaks you through a spiritual plane spiritually, so you can reach the ultimate state of wisdom and spirituality. Does this mean that only Muslims can reach this level? Does this mean that if you're not Muslim, you give up or you reject this information? Not at all. In essence, any one of you, regardless of what your faith is, if you are dedicating your worship and your journey to the one and only Creator and not anything created, then you are on a righteous path. To begin with, the significance of 911. What you have to understand, and what we are trying to explain, is that when dealing with extra dimensions, or when dealing with beings from extra dimensions like jinn, for example, or when dealing with the Illuminati, or the elite, or people that follow a certain type of esoteric agendas, although me and you communicate through words and letters, they have chosen a different type of language. And this is a cross-boundary type of language. This is a language that goes across the boundaries, understood by all. And this is the language of numbers and shapes. And this is why whenever you do research about these groups, you'll find out that they practice something called sacred numerology and sacred geometry. What does this mean? It means that each number is given a meaning. Each shape is given a meaning. A meaning is communicated whenever a shape is presented or a number is presented by these specific groups. I'm not talking about random people or random groups. We're talking about specific groups that follow this type of agenda. When numbers are used, it signifies a certain type of meaning. When shapes are used, the same is followed. So, in their definition, in a numerological sense, 10 is the Alpha and the Omega, or the God. 11 is a step above God. 101 is a step above God. 911 or 911 is the skipping of God. It is the ultimate challenge. It is going from number 9, which has a specific meaning, to number 11 without going through 10. It's skipping God. So it's no coincidence that this event that we call 911 today took place on 911. It is the ultimate challenge. So now that we understood what 911 means, what other practice do we do that deals with 911? Calling a number whenever you are in an emergency. Now, creating an institution that helps people whenever they are in need of help and whenever they are experiencing an emergency is fine. There's nothing against it. There's no religion, there's no logical person on earth that will tell you this is wrong. But when you understand how sinister that these elite are and the way they work on a level that's way beyond what you think. So the fact that when you're experiencing an emergency or when you are in need of help, you have to pick up a phone and dial 911, which is the ultimate numerological definition of skipping God, then you'll understand how these people work. with rituals will recognize that everything adds up. For something to be a ritual, everything has to be in place, everything has to be perfect. And my advice is, if you want to recognize that something is satanic, it has to add up in all sense. The numbers have to add up, the shapes have to add up, the event has to add up, it has to have one general meaning. The pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly. That's when you recognize when something is ritualistic or satanic.
not a hunter, but I'm told that in places like in the Arctic, where indigenous people sometimes might hunt a wolf, they'll take a double-edged blade and they'll put blood on the blade and they'll melt the ice and stick the handle in the ice so that only the blade is protruded, and that a wolf will smell the blood and wants to eat, and it'll come and lick the blade trying to eat. And what happens is when the wolf licks the blade, of course, he cuts his tongue and he bleeds and he thinks he's really having a good meal. He drinks and he licks and of course he's drinking his own blood and he kills himself. That's what the imperialists did to us with crack cocaine. You got these young brothers out there thinking that they're getting something that they're gonna make a living with. They're getting something they can buy a car like the white people have cars. Why can't I have a car? They're getting something so they can get a piece of gold. The white people have gold. Why can't I have gold? They're getting something to get a house. The white people have a house. Why can't I have a house? And they actually think that it's something that's bringing resources to them, but they're killing themselves just like the wolf who's licking the blade, and they're slowly dying without knowing. That's what's happening to the community. You with me on that? That's exactly and precisely what happens to the community. And instead of blaming the hunter who put the damn handle and the blade in the ice for the wolf, that what happens is the wolf gets blamed for trying to live. That's what happens in our community. You don't blame the person, the victim, you blame the oppressor. Imperialism, white power is the enemy. Was the enemy when it first came to Africa, snatched up the first African, brought us here against our will, is the enemy today. That's the thing that we have to understand.
The dollar falling again against the euro today after that weak new home sale.
Get the Dow Jones is up 105 points. This on a day when oil was up to a new time high of 96.
Realized inflation was running at 0.8%. Now, there's no way that's true. If the government was accurately reporting inflation, we would know we're in a recession.
We got about 30 seconds or so, but I want to get your take on how much lower you think the markets can go right now.
We think that the markets can decline 50 or 60%. We hate to say something so somber, but this is not the time to be optimistic or pessimistic. It's the time to be realistic. Our whole system has been built on credit expansion. We have to grow credit year over year in order to keep the economy growing. The economy is not going to grow. It's going to suffer recession, and once it enters recession, it's going to cascade on itself.
But what counts is not how many dollars we have, but what those dollars are worth and what we can buy with them. And the dollar is becoming less valuable every day. And based on our economy, our huge current account, our huge trade deficits, our lack of domestic manufacturing, our lack of domestic savings, there's only one thing the dollar can do, and that's go down.
People who have saved, they're being robbed.
And then Dajjal moved to a day which is like a month, and the United States replaced Britain as the ruling state in the world. And the US dollar became the international currency. And now the United States is about to relinquish power, and Israel is about to replace the United States as the ruling state in the world. And what will be the new money? Answer: the US dollar is going to be attacked, it will collapse and bring down all the paper money of the world with it. You won't see paper money after that. Well, then what's going to be money? What's the new money that Israel will use to enslave mankind? The way the United States used the US dollar. Answer: Israel is going to use invisible money, you can't see it. Intangible money, you can't touch it. It will be electronic money.
What kind of new monetary system would you like to see? Do you want the dollar to be gold backed again? Would you like to go back to fixed exchange rates? Give us a sense of where you'd like to go.
Well, we should follow the law, and the law is the Constitution. The Constitution said only gold and silver should be legal tender. We don't really have clear authority to have a central bank.
The dollar's going down, the cost of living is going up. Our dollar today is worth 4 cents compared to the dollar of 1913 when the Federal Reserve took charge of it. And if you don't deal with the dollar, there will be no retirement for anybody. We're going to have chaos.
And the strange thing, the dangerous thing about electronic money
If it is controlled by the banking system around the world and the Jews control the banking system, that's not an uncharitable statement. That's not an invalid statement. Just the truth. We said that Israel is about to wage a big war. They prepared for this when the Israeli Mossad and the CIA attacked America on September 11th and put the blame on us Muslims. They know that's false. They know that they're speaking a monstrous lie. But yet they do it. The Prophet ﷺ warned us that amongst the times of the last day, he said, would be that people would speak great lies. Beware, he said.
Intelligence agency to question key terrorism.
Supported by fact, Fox Noise today actually suggests
the equipment that they need in order to protect themselves, and so you have to weigh those priorities. But I think what is an extreme and therefore kind of an extremely indefensible Republican
attacks, including a plot to strike the U.S. Marine camp in Djibouti, a planned attack on the U.S. consulate in Karachi, a plot to hijack a passenger plane and fly it into Library Tower in Los Angeles, the planes into Heathrow Airport. Despite the record of success, and despite the fact that our professionals use lawful techniques, which of the attacks I have just described would they prefer we had not stopped?
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream, built to keep us under control, to change
solar panel. The system was $250. This is where the panels, the power comes in. It's just it's working and then it's charging. See the little lights charging right now. And
by any means necessary.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost.
with my nose in it since the whole thing began. Who in their right mind, Kevin, could possibly deny the 20th century was entirely mine? All of it, Kevin! All of it. Mine. I'm peeking. It's my time now.
the turn of the tide.
There is no way that the United States and Israel are going to tolerate any resistance in the Arab world. You want to pretend it can be avoided, you can play that game. But serious people, clear-headed people, knew there was going to be a war sooner or later. You think there's not going to be another war? You think Israel is going to allow that defeat in July 2006? No, there will be another war, and the destruction will probably be 10 times worse, because Israel is determined with the United States to put the Arabs in their place and to keep them in their place. Now, how can I not respect those who say no to that? Israel has to suffer a defeat.
أنتم الجيل الذي سوف يشهد الانتصار النهائي الحاسم لأمتنا وتغيير وجه المنطقة وإقامة المشروع الحقيقي الذي ينتمي إلى شعوبنا الأربعة.
think it would end this way.
End? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path. One that we all must take. And then you see it.
Isn't so bad.
No, it isn't.
Why is he known as the false Messiah? His mission is to impersonate the true Messiah. The true Messiah was the son of Mary, Nabi Isa alayhi salam, Jesus. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. When Allah sent him, he was sent as the true Messiah with a mission to rule the world from Jerusalem, from Holy Israel.
the state of Israel, then we can once again coexist as we have for hundreds of years. We have all the rabbis who will testify lived in the old state of Jerusalem before 1948. He'll tell you how he coexisted with all the Arab neighbors, how they babysat each other's children when they went to Yom Kippur, when the women went to Yom Kippur on the fast day, the Muslim neighbors babysat the children, the most precious objects they gave to them to protect. How could that be if they're our enemies, mortal enemies? Because they're not. It's not a religious conflict. That's a Zionist ploy.
Sauron has regained much of his former strength. He cannot yet take physical form, but his spirit has lost none of its potency. Concealed within his fortress, the Lord of Mordor sees all. His gaze pierces cloud, shadow, earth. You know of what I speak, Gandalf. A great eye, lidless, breathed in flame. Yes, sir. He is gathering all evil to him. Very soon he will have summoned an army great enough to launch an assault upon Middle-earth. He knows.
We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
The banker, right? The banker, Lloyd's Bank, all these characters, they're going to be put in front of Allah. Bank of America, Citicorp, Chase Manhattan, World Bank, they'll all be given their swords by the angels. And then the angel will say, here's your Lord, now go to war. And how long are they going to last? They're going to slit their own throats. Ya laytani kuntu turaba. Oh, would that I was dust. The Prophet ﷺ saw them on the Isra and Mi'raj drinking blood in a river, because that's the manifestation of the reality of their acts.
Zachariah Sitchin is a member of what?
the Illuminati?
Absolutely. Zaccaria Sitchin met with Corrado Balducci. Who is Corrado Balducci? Corrado Balducci is not only the official spokesman for the UFO in the Vatican. He's a demonologist. The biggest exorcist in the Vatican.
Right.
I mean, it was Crowley who said, you call them gods, then we call them angels. In 50 years, we will call them something else.
Force of good and evil. He says, you believe in one person believe in God, and everyone believes in Lucifer. It's like politics. Lucifer and all his angels. They're just as beautiful as they did before they were cast out of heaven. And through these people, they are sold to the fact that Christ will not return to this planet with power and great glory.
تشهد طوال تاريخكم.
And if I can die having brought any light having exposed any meaningful truth that will help destroy this disease, then all the credit is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. And only the mistakes have been mine.
Tandy?
You already know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.